You're listening to Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Bhaskar Sundram, and with my co-host Ashley Case, we will be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry. Today's guest is Heather Kirkpatrick. Heather is currently serving as a business development analyst at Pride Industries. She has been with the firm for over 14 years, taking varied roles from research analyst, proposal development coordinator, and recently as business development coordinator. Heather is an APMP 40 under 40 winner in the inaugural 40 under 40 event in 2017 and also serves in the APMP California chapter as chapter chair. She joined the California APMP board in 2015 as membership director. Heather is also APMP Foundation certified and has degrees in political science and government at the University of California, Sacramento. Welcome, Heather, to Scribble Talk. Great to have you with us.
I'm pleased to be here on Scribble Talk. It's very exciting.
Heather, let's go back to the very beginning. Heather, where were you born? And let's talk about your high school and education.
Okay, well, I am a California native. I was born in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, and I grew up there until about first grade, and then my family moved up to Northern California, outside Sacramento in a little suburb called Fair Oaks. And I went to great schools there, fundamental schools, so we got like a good just awareness of just all that is out there for you. And we had really good teachers that motivated and were just really excited to teach and mold us into great individuals. And then I went to high school as well in Fair Oaks. I went to a great high school called Del Campo. And I did a lot there. Was like involved in athletics and academics and speech and student government. And I think I made it a goal of mine to visit like every club on campus because I just wanted to, just have a real wide range of knowledge and to know what was out there. So that's kind of where I grew up, in Fair Oaks outside of Sacramento. And again, I love the state of California, like up and down, have friends and family all over it. And so definitely a California native.
Perfect. So if somebody visiting California, what do you think they should do there? Your top 5 places to visit?
My top 5 places to visit in California. Well, right now, you got to moderate things, but if things were off the table, I would definitely first, you've got to schedule a visit to the Pacific Ocean. Kind of starting out like that's true west right there. And, certain parts like up in Northern California, it's a lot different than Southern California, but each area has its own gems. And just to feel that wind against your face and to see the power of the ocean, I think is really important. So one of my favorite ocean places is Point Reyes, which is in the Golden Gate Recreation Area, a little bit north of San Francisco. And it's just amazing. And there's just some really, I think, powerful things you can pick up from visiting the ocean. So that's my first place. You got to visit the ocean, maybe Point Reyes.
Yeah.
And then second place, if you have time, get to the center of the state, get to one of our amazing national parks. And so I'm going to tell you that Yosemite is where it's at. Again, it's good in any season. And there's just the majestic beauty. I think if anyone's ever had a chance to see John Muir, get some of those photos of El Capitan and the waterfalls and the lakes and the rivers and the grasses and the animals. And it's just a real special place, Yosemite is. So if you have a chance, a lot of the national parks in the Central Valley down there are amazing. But Yosemite, definitely that's number 2. Number 3, I gotta say, I know it's a big city and it's got its issues, but you got to get yourself to Los Angeles. And the diversity there. And again, you've got the ocean, but you've got all sorts of different, I'm a big museum fan, so I love the Getty now. I think you've just got to look out over Los Angeles from the Getty Museum. so I would say definitely go to LA and go to the Getty Museum and the Getty Villa as well. I'm really into like that, just really experiencing beauty and nature and in an urban environment, and you can find that. So go to LA, and then there's all sorts of food options there too, so that's always important. And then, that again, like living up here in Sacramento, outside of Sacramento, and I would say Lake Tahoe. You've got to get yourself to Lake Tahoe as well. It's that you could drive through the Sierras and you get to this really clear, beautiful lake with a beautiful, just Emerald Bay, and you've got the Lake Tahoe National Forest, and you're on both the Nevada or the California side. Like Lake Tahoe is again like where it's at. And then I guess for my fifth place, a tough one. Just again, I'm gonna say you're gonna have to like go back to some place that I have a goal for next year. You're gonna need to go along the central coast of California as you drive down that one. And again, it's kind of back to that ocean environment. You just drive along and you can see, you go through the state to get there, and you see all the different geography that we have. And again, along that central coast, there's a place called Hearst Castle. And so I hope to get back there next year with all the pandemic stuff, and just again, the architecture and the overlooking the ocean there, and what you can learn, and how just that the beauty of both architecture and the view. I would say get yourself to Hearst Castle. So those are my five, that my touristy places to visit. There's some other great things recreation wise here, but those are my top five.
Perfect, Heather. I have to say I haven't been to California. Now I have every reason to visit you and California soon.
I love it.
Yes. So California State University. So is that where you did your bachelor's, is it?
I did go to CSU Sacramento, and I almost completed my bachelor's. So I would, encourage anyone. I've got lots of industry experience now and different certifications and certificates and classes. But yes, I spent my collegiate time at CSU Sacramento. And I, again, kind of flirted with all sorts of things, but I was actually a government major. And I was really involved with politics in college, as well as making that kind of my focus. But I also took a lot of communication studies courses. I flirted with computer science and drama, and again, I think I tried to get a well-rounded education. And so, but I encourage anyone, again, I've got my industry experience, but it's a goal of mine to finish that degree out from Sac State and do that. But again, my collegiate experience, some of those experiences with some of those professors, and molding some of foreign policy and just awareness of things, and critical thinking. I think that was one of the best courses that I took at Sac State, was in a course on critical thinking in the mass media. So that was my time there. I did enjoy it, and then I got into the field that I'm in now.
Yes. So what was your first job or after university, or what was your first job ever?
Oh, well, my first job ever might have been watching some kids in the neighborhood, and I was a big swimmer, so we would do that. But my first kind of professional job, I did some things in college with our student government, but my first job, I would say, was with a foster care agency, and it was called Family Alliance, and it focused on making permanent placement for kids in the foster care system. And it especially focused on hard to place kids that needed extra assistance because unfortunately their families couldn't, their biological families just weren't equipped to help raise them. So that was I wanted to work for nonprofits, and I did different things, and I got connected up with someone, and was just I only worked there for a few years, but the connections that I made there and what we were able to do for the kids and the families there was just really, really impactful. And it was a great job to start. And I still keep in touch with a lot of the staff that made that mission happen of creating permanent placement for kids, because that's how important having a good family is for children. So that was my first job.
Wow. And from that job to before you were starting your career, a long 15 plus year career with Pride Industries, what other roles did you do?
Well, like after I left Family Alliance, I actually also stayed in the same field, and I went to work for an organization that was a mental health provider for children and families here in Sacramento called River Oak Center for Children. I was at first a training specialist that was helping out with their training institute, and then I moved into community development and fund development. So community relations. And we educated the community, we raised money, we did fundraisers, we wrote grants, we did proposals, we tracked donations and thanked our donations. And then I also got involved with doing employee engagement as well with like employee newsletters. So like that was a great time. And again, like I worked with a fabulous team of really caring individuals that made a difference for kids and families. So that was my community relations, and that's how I found out about Pride, actually, who I work for now, because again, I think you could see, I decided I wanted to work for nonprofits that had a community focus and had a mission that I believed in. And one of the things that Pride does is at the time, like it did fulfillment and printing and mailing, and we still do some of that. And so we had our donor newsletter was literally processed like at the Pride facility. And I came out and I got a tour, and that was my first introduction to Pride, which creates jobs for people with disabilities. And so it was also just a really well-known like nonprofit in our region. And I kind of always was just impressed with that. And so when it came time to find my next opportunity, one of the places I applied for in their sales, I applied to be a sales research analyst at Pride. And I had the background from my work, like in doing fundraising and donor development and grants, and understanding, the guidelines of grants and proposals and sales and what that meant for opportunities and research. And after several months of making sure that I was the right fit for Pride, I got hired on. So again, like I went from a very community focused, like helping serve kids and families, to then now help people who just need a reasonable accommodation sometimes, and then just finding the right person for the right job. And it's really great to, again, do what we do in bids and proposals and business development. But here at Pride, that we also have that focus of returning back to the community, giving someone a job who might need some additional assistance to get one. And we do it very competitively, and I'm happy to talk more about that as we get into the career. But that's how I got to Pride Industries, as you said, close to 15 years ago. I think it'll be my 14th anniversary, going into my 15th year in November. So that's not very far away.
I wish you a long, long, long career with Pride and the colleagues there. Heather, do you have any memorable research efforts with Pride or with anybody else?
Yeah, like research efforts. One of the things that Pride Industries like is involved in, we have just several different lines of business. And one of the major lines of business that I've been involved in my career is commercial custodial services. And about, I would say 11 years ago now, we started looking at large opportunities, one of them being in the county of Los Angeles. And so we really took a look at that opportunity. We researched it. We found our competitive intelligence. We mapped the county of LA, That's helped me get back to, my roots as a LA native, born in the city, born in Canoga Park. And so mapping all those locations and doing that research and doing all that strategy work before we ended up bidding and, went through different things. And the story now is we first bid on like a contract of a couple $1,000,000. And now 11 years later, we have over $25 million worth of work with the County of Los Angeles. So those research efforts, like early on and doing that forecasting and working with our capture team, our operational team, our sales, and figuring out like how to really be a great partner for the County of Los Angeles, really like that was kind of huge, because Pride's actually grown a lot since I first started. When I first started, Pride was about $100 million in revenue. And now we're close to, I want to say like the latest numbers, we're approaching $350 million worth of revenue. And we've like added lots of contracts and lots of things. And so those research efforts in the very beginning and the projects we were involved with, getting a handle on what type of partners would be great for Pride in that sector. That's something that, I'm proud of, and it's continued, and it's really developed into a really lasting relationship, for our company and the workers that we employ down there. We have, again, over 500 employees now on those different contracts. And that's really shows that a lot of times you've got to put the work in early, and that you've got to really figure out who your customer and your client are, and kind of that research over the years with different tools and relationships. That's something I'm really proud of.
Yeah, it looks like a very complex research effort there, Heather, and you are still smiling about it, which means it's a positive one.
Yeah.
And before we move into APMP and related things, Heather, tell us 3 things not many people know about you.
Not many people know about me. Wow. Well, I think some people might know this about me, but not very many people if you don't like kind of, pursue things. When I was like younger, I really like I fell in love with space. And so it's a dream of mine to someday like work for NASA and just kind of see what we're doing there. So along with that, kind of again, like when I was young, like when I was in junior high, like I'm like, okay, like I've got to explore this NASA thing. So I got to go to space camp in Huntsville, Alabama. So that's one thing that people might not know, is that I really want to do that. And then they might not know that I have I really like languages. So like when I was in high school, one of my favorite things that I did in high school was I got to teach at a local elementary school French club. So I got to speak French and teach the kids, and they taught us. And so that was really enjoyable. So you might not know that that I have a fondness for I'm a Francophile, and I have a fondness for that. And then the other like third thing that you might not know is I really want to get back to Italy. I had a chance like 10 years ago to go to Italy, and I took several classes here in Sacramento with the Italian Cultural Center to also speak some Italian and understand that. So again, like I do like to travel. I think a lot of people know that if they've known me and seen how I communicate that, but I really do have a fondness for some of the countryside in Italy and be able to hear the language and see the beauty there. So those are kind of 3 things that I'm a space person, and I like to speak French, and I'd love to go back to Italy.
Speak French and go back to Italy. That's a different one, Heather. I hope you don't have to speak French in Italy, but it's fine.
Maybe I'll throw in some Italian. Like it's usually a mixture. Like now, like since I don't get to speak it as much anymore, like my languages kind of get all mixed up. But I think you get the gist. You give a little hand movements, and you just learn about the people. I think that the one of the things that I like most about in life is getting to know people. I think we can all just get different perspectives, and we can be there for each other and just share our lives. And so that was really appreciated the trip that I took, with the people that I took, and the experiences that I got. And it was always, I did in 2010. I'm about goals, and so 2010, there was a lot going on in my life, and I called it the year of fulfilling my dreams. And so I did a lot of different things. I again, with my love of space, I got to Orlando and tried to catch a shuttle launch a few times. And I ended up going to Italy that year. And I auditioned to live in a museum in Chicago. And I just kind of followed my dreams, and I was able to share that with a lot of really people that are very dear to me. And I think that's, again, in this time, that we do need to seek out that joy and follow your dreams. I mean, don't ignore your responsibilities, but now is the time to find the people and relationships that can help you accomplish those. And so that's usually my joy, is following my own dreams, but also encouraging other people to seek after theirs.
Ah, that's beautifully well said there, Heather. So, while you are super busy doing research at Pride, you also took up leadership roles at APMP California. So when did you hear about APMP?
When did I hear about APMP? Well, we went through some transition stuff in the late 2000s at Pride, and we were looking to hire a new proposal director. And so they interviewed different people. I was a business a proposal coordinator back then. We kind of created a department, and I had a role as proposal coordinator, and they were hiring for new directors, and they mentioned that the person that they were interviewing was Shipley trained and APMP certified. And I'm like, I don't know that. Why don't I know that? And it was fairly soon after I joined Pride. So I remember getting a copy of Shipley's guide, and finding out what is this association? There's other people that do what I do. How cool is that? And so I remember getting the Shipley guide and reading the Shipley guide and seeing all these best practices. I'm like, well, this seems really cool. And then there's this APMP organization, and for some reason, it didn't quite work out that I joined right away, but that's how I heard about it. And then, again, I had my year of completing dreams. We were doing things at Pride, but we weren't involved with APMP yet. And so, in 2012, I decided, hey, I really think this APMP organization is something that I would be interested in. And I remember, talking to my company, and it wasn't the right time for Pride to, be able to give back in that way. We were still doing some different things. And so, to me, I'm like, I think this is really important for me and my career. I'd really like to talk about what I do with other people. And so I decided to join APMP. There was a Northern California chapter at the time and a Southern California chapter. And the Southern California chapter hosted this great training day in Anaheim. And I saw about it, and I was in Southern California a lot because of my family and connections down there. So I said, hey, I'm going to go. So I joined APMP, and I paid for the registration, and we worked it out with Pride later to help me out with that. But it was just something I wanted to do. And I remember that first training day, it was so exciting to be in a room full of people that did what I did. It was like, wow. And so that's how I started. I had went to my first training day, and I met a lot of the board members and people that I'm involved with now. And then there was also I think 3 or 4 weeks later, there was a Northern California chapter event in Napa. And again, I was like, well, how exciting is this? Napa's a great region in California. And going over there, and again, meeting more colleagues, and getting some proposal stuff and experiencing the lovely winery over at Napa. Again, I'm like, hey, this is going really well. And so again, like that's how I first, got involved. And then each year I would like come back for the training day and listen to the webinars and kind of get to know more about that. And that kind of started my path on eventually, like I was encouraged to join the APMP board. There was a great mentor there in Mitch Boritz. And he's like, hey, you should consider getting involved. We like you and you like us. Maybe that's oversimplifying a little bit, but again, like it's been a great time for for me and APMP. So I guess I'm going on my 8th year anniversary, and I just still remember so many of the conferences with so many of the professionals in our industry, and just how encouraging they were, and just how we can really like come alongside with that professional development and education and networking that really allows us to really build each other up, and then just bring that back to our companies to just promote more winning business development and capture and effective proposals, and good and great and stellar proposal management that really just makes everyone's jobs easier. So that was my initial thing. And I remember like one of the training days, I'm not sure if it was the first or the second one, but the CEO at the time of APMP was able to be there, and she said, like you need to make a commitment to your professional development. And so at the time she was saying like, hey, this training day is great, but think about also like being involved like at the national level and going to the national conference. And if your company like is not on board and can't do it at the time, like talk with the chapters, like, and figure out and make that personal commitment. And she just really encouraged to do that. And a few years later, I think for my first conference, I remember like making that commitment, and Pride was able to support me in that, like going to those national conferences. I think my first conference was 2015, and it just really made a difference in how I perceived my role and how I could continue to give back, and with our certifications, and just connecting with, like just different people in different chapters and different leadership. So as I moved into not just an attendee and a participant and a member, as I moved into leadership on the board, it was really encouraging to hear our leaders at the top, and then everyone who came in, just how supportive and how it was just that we need to make it a standard in our lives to continue to improve and be around people that can help us do that. And again, so APMP has really been a critical factor like in my success in my career, and just it really has changed my life for the better, both professionally and personally.
Totally, Heather, totally. And as you rightly said, you just joined as a member, then you also went on all the way to the board. And it was just last week I interviewed Mitch for the podcast as well.
Oh, good.
So yours and Mitch will go hand on hand, so listeners can listen to both at the same time. That'll be nice. Talk us through the APMP California chapter and their initiatives, so that listeners can also understand your new adventures that's coming up, Heather.
Yeah, so we're in fact we're going to be announcing it later today. We're very excited. One of the things that APMP offers, and that one of the membership things, is certification. And so there's different levels of certification, foundation, practitioner certification, and then professional. But APMP's recently added the APMP Capture Professional. And since I moved from a proposal development role about 5 years ago into a business development team, actually maybe about 6 years ago now, we are really excited about the APMP Capture Practitioner certification. And so Marie Roncevelle and I, our professional development director on the board now in California, we are going to be hosting the APMP California capture adventure, because I think I'm all about adventures, all over California, and we actually host our training day usually at Disney California, the Grand Adventure. That's where we host it. And so we're going to be hosting 16 weeks of power half an hours on the different competency areas for the capture and the business development, the capture practitioner competencies in APMP. And so you can kind of look at that on the website, but it's, as I said, 16 sessions, 8 this year and 8 at the start of next year. And it goes through all of the body of knowledge topics associated with that, from opportunity and capture planning, all the way down to external and internal stakeholder development. Also hits several topics of negotiation and price to win and developing executive summaries. And so Marie and I are going to highlight that, and highlight also all of the incredible resources that we have within APMP, from the different approved training organizations like yours to the different self-study options that are out there. And again, all the different webinars that have been offered, not only by our vendors, but by APMP over the years, and as well as our chapter. So, our California chapter, we're opening up this capture adventure to anyone that wants to join us. Again, the point of it is to get a few of us ready to take that capture exam next March, because it is a commitment to get that certification. So we really want to make sure that we're familiar with those body of knowledge topics, which is, such a resource for Pride, and also the key terms, and then just being able to apply our competencies to how to relate to business development and capture. So we're really excited about that. That should be announcing. And we also, along with some of the initiatives that you're doing, we wanted to be able to fund certifications. So we were able to fund 6 members certifications this year. And again, getting training for them with that. And then also just, again, continuing, we have mentorship programs that will go along that our professional development does. But this capture adventure is pretty exciting. And we're hoping that just having this little half an hour bites will encourage people to, take a moment to, it also, some of those areas apply to the other practitioner exam, but also just kind of keeping fresh in your knowledge and being motivated to put these practices into effect at your organization is very important. So we have a really great team on our board right now. We're just really excited that I have our leadership has led our chapter before, and just really encourages the brand new member to the experienced member to find those resources and network with us and be able to really be supportive of one another. So we're looking forward to this adventure, and it's kind of closing out 2020 with some positive things to show what we're good at, because I think anyone involved with APMP wants to be better at what they do. You don't hold certification, you don't talk on podcasts or host podcasts, or go to conferences, or you don't work so hard for our companies under the deadlines and the pressures that we do if you're not interested in improving yourself and improving others. And so that's just, as a practitioner, even in the former testing, that was kind of a big thing. As a leader, what are you doing for yourself, but also how are you serving others? So we're really excited as a board to host these virtual events right now, since we can't really gather together in person. And again, just create and encourage people to find their own adventure professionally and personally.
Beautiful, beautiful, Heather. Well said there. Heather, board member to all the way winning APMP 40 under 40 in 2017. You might not remember, I was standing behind you.
Oh, how exciting. I think that was a great day for me. Was it a great day for you?
Yeah, 100%, totally. That was the first time I actually went on to actually meet you and few other colleagues, let alone it took me 3 years to have you here, part of the podcast. Yes, beautiful.
I know. I kept saying, I've got to connect up with Bhaskar. He's doing such great things, and you and Ashley, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like let's make it happen. And so I'm actually gives me great joy to be able to like, yes, we finally connected and we finally did it. Because again, like it seems a lot longer than just 3 years ago that we did that in New Orleans, and again that was an exciting year again, getting encouragement. It was so important on that award, and especially from um, one of your previous callers, or podcasts like Mitch, that people will be listening to, and I just getting encouragement like from Anita Wright. Again, she's an amazing APMP professional and fellow out here on our board, as well as like Dick Easom and Kristen Maycumber now, who's going to be the chair of APMP International next year. And again, like our current board with Marie and Tara and Stephanie and Ty and Lindsay and Alicia, and just all of our board members over the years, like Steve Koger, again another APMP professional, like just a mover and shaker out here in California, and especially with that APMP training event. I've been really like, I think that's what impressed me again about APMP is the how, like, the people that I just talked about. And Bruce Farrell, I mean, I know that we're all thinking keeping him in our thoughts and prayers as well as he recovers, like. And then Mike Walsh, and again, like these leaders that we have, and the people that we've met, and how they just throw their passion into things, like Robin Davis and Mike Parkinson. And we've had a lot of these speakers that come out to California, and it's just, I think when and I don't know about you, going across that stage and seeing some of those other leaders, because I think Kristen was in that class as well, that 2017 40 under 40 class. We were that inaugural class.
Yes.
And again, like a lot of those connections we've had like internationally too, with all of the classes that have preceded us. I'm really excited about where this industry can go, and how we can really support each other like moving forward. So I hope I haven't missed anybody in my like discussions. I know like here at Pride as well, like again we have a proposal director, Danette, who like served on the board earlier this year. And again, just those connections that really make you stronger as a professional, and just knowing that you also can meet people that want to do the same thing, like everything that you're doing with Scribble, and just it's amazing. And so I just thank you for this opportunity to talk about it, and thanks for being a 40 under 40 award winner with me. And and I think we're just gonna do like some really like great things. And I think another board member that I didn't mention, like was actually Suzanne Easom, who like helped keep our like website and like kind of marketing, and some of our marketing chairs as well. Like the virtual connections as well as are important, but it's also these talks and those face-to-face things over the years that really encouraged me. And like it was that one time of year we could kind of get together. And again, like from different chapters as well, I've made some great connections, like with the Florida chapter over the years, several members there, and just again across the country, and meeting people and hearing people on the webinars throughout the year. Again, like, yes, like, I always, it was great that we were acknowledged, but there's just such a wealth of creativity, of and just dynamic leadership, from there, and connecting with them like both professionally and then personally is just a real gift. And so I think we need to remember that we can encourage each other and motivate each other, and just succeed, and just make our lives better.
Well said there. Well said there. Thank you so much for taking me with you in this journey here as well, Heather. So it's beautiful. Heather, we talked about your career. We talked about your early life. You also touched the APMP and its impact in your life. what are your hobbies and interests? What do you do outside work?
What do I do outside work? Well, this summer I've gotten back into swimming. So I've been swimming every day this summer. So that's definitely a hobby of mine right now. So like pretty much like we've had some, again, prayers for California. We're going through some stuff with our, our air quality and our fires and, keeping them in mind of people losing things. But I've been able to kind of keep my spirits up with that hobby of definitely swimming every day and getting out into nature. So my other hobby is I like to take pictures of roses. I'm a big rose garden fan.
Mhm.
I go to the rose garden as much as I can. So I like visiting gardens. And let's see, I'm also like, I do enjoy out here in California. We have like a lot of different wine regions and different things and food and wine. So I'm kind of a foodie. That would kind of be a hobby as mine as well. And then I like learning new things and going new places. And so as the pandemic kind of changed that a little bit, like sometimes you have to go places like a little virtually. So one of the hobbies this year is I found a new flower. I've always liked irises, but I did a bunch of research into irises and joined a couple of like iris societies and met some new people there. And so I think one of my other hobbies and interests is I like creating new relationships with people because
Mhm.
I think that's what life is about and taking the quality time to do that. And then my other hobby is I don't know if it's a hobby, but it's a way of life. That I am a woman of faith, and so I'm also like involved in my church and kind of what the Lord means to me, and so that's a big part of my life as well. So that's not really a hobby, but that is a core part of who I am.
Ah, amazing. And especially, I thoroughly enjoy your rose pictures on a daily basis, Heather. So, if, if you could be a rose, which rose would you choose to be?
Oh, that could be a rose. Um, Sometimes I don't know the names of all the roses, but I would say that my favorite rose right now is probably there's a rose in the garden that's kind of striped red and white. It's
Mm,
almost kind of like a candy cane rose.
mm,
And it's a deep red and just like a creamy white and kind of that mixture. And like when the sun hits it, it's really beautiful. So I would probably be like, I don't think that the real name of it is candy cane rose. I should probably do some research and find out what that is. But I definitely like the strong contrast of the red and the white on the flower. Um, I think that would be the rose I'd be right now. And the great thing about the rose garden is so many different roses bloom and they really take care of it here in Sacramento and all the other roses. So you can always, like, again, like a different season, you can be a different rose.
well said there. I just kind of jumped into the Nutters round or the rapid random fire question round suddenly,
Okay.
but you just answered it beautifully. And yeah, totally, totally, I'm with you there, Heather. So let's go with this. So, what's the most courageous thing you have ever done?
I think something that comes to mind, so we'll go with that since it's rapid fire, is
Mm,
on one of my trips, I went to Las Vegas, and there was a conference there, a women's conference, and it was a great conference. And then, but I found out the last day that Vegas like wasn't quite my thing, and so I'm like, okay, like what do I want to do? I'm up for an adventure. So I ended up like renting a car and I drove out. I'd always wanted to get back to the Grand Canyon because I think the Grand Canyon is an amazing place.
mm,
And I found out that on the west, um, the west rim is where everyone usually goes. But they have an east rim that's actually very accessible from Las Vegas. It's about a couple hours drive, and it's an interesting drive out there. And it's on a reservation, and they have something called the Skywalk. So you are up 4,000 feet And then you walk out onto the skywalk, and it's a clear bottom. And again, like I'm not afraid of heights, but that was something, again, like kind of walking out, and you read the whole documentary and you could see the documentary of why this is an engineering marvel and it's totally safe, but still you're walking out on a clear walkway over the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, okay, Heather, like this is what you like. You like views, you like doing new adventures, and you did it by yourself. As I said, I drove out there, figured out all the logistics, and got out there, and it was a gorgeous day. It was like 70 degrees out. Like everyone was like at other activities, so there's very little people up on the skywalk that day. It was gorgeous. And I said, okay, I'm going to walk out on this skywalk, and I'm also, like I told myself, I'm going to kneel and people are going to take pictures, and kneeling has always been a little hard for me. Recently I've had some knee surgery, but to help with that, but I'm going to do it. And so like you're taking those steps and you're reaching out and you're doing it, and you're like, can I do it? And like taking that step, and what was going through my head is like, Heather, this is courageous, but also think, kids and grandmas do this too. You can do it, Heather. You can be courageous. Like step out, like conquer that fear. And so like I did. And I remember taking a step out onto that clear skywalk and just taking a look and like looking, we're up over 4,000 feet, like looking down over into the canyon. And again, I was by myself. It was a self trip, and I just still remember that amazing feeling that you get when like just looking down in that crisp air and going, I did it. I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I did it. So that was probably like right now, like the most courageous thing that I could think to share with you. Maybe there's something else, but I hope that's a good story for you.
Oh, definitely, Heather. So, if you were going to a famous historical figure dress-up party, who would you go as?
I would go as Queen Elizabeth the first.
Interesting. Any reason why?
Why would I do that? Like I'm a big royal fan, like of that time period. Like I read a lot about that. I'm again, I think all of us like in business development proposals, and we like to read, and so I really like that time in history, and just that royalty. So the historical figure, like I would go as Queen Elizabeth. I think she's got some conflicts in her life, but yes, I would go with Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, why not? Heather, Queen Elizabeth I. That sounds great. If you were a superhero, what would be your power?
To read other people's thoughts. I mean, I don't know if I have that power now, but I would really like that power, and to be able to assist, to come to the rescue of people that are in situations like beyond their control, and to be able to help and find resources. So yeah, being a superhero, I think that's a tremendous responsibility, but I think I could give it a try. I might be good at it.
Why not, Heather? Why not? You could be the Rose Woman,
Woohoo!
Like the Cat Woman, Rose Woman. I don't know. If you could breed a hybrid animal of any two species, what two would you choose to hybrid?
Oh my gosh, that's a question. I would have an interesting I would mate a dolphin with a human, because I always like the way that dolphins like kind of are able to swim in the water and like swim alongside and kind of get that rhythm, and so like again, like you have like Aquaman, or all of that, like a dolphin woman. I would do a dolphin woman. There you go.
The mermaid of California. Exactly, that sounds great. So, how do you feel about putting pineapple on a pizza?
I think this may be a little risky, but I think there's a time and place for pineapple on a pizza. I think you could pair that like with something really, really well and have that, real sweetness to it. Like I think you can make pineapple on pizza work. Hmm.
Got you. So, what profession, other than your current role at Pride, you would like to attempt?
Interesting that you say that. I've been encouraged to do this a lot. Like I would like to be a concierge slash travel guide, and that could be like obviously now that we can't necessarily do a lot of international travel or different things, but I think you can actually find a lot to do like in your community, like where you are, and kind of what interests you and what makes you excited to be alive. So I always like wanted to be like a concierge to be able to get things for people. And then usually kind of that involves when people are on a trip that they use a concierge. But I would like to be that person that if you needed help in getting something done, you could call me or call my company and we could help you get it done. And so that would be like what I would like to do is be like a resource for people to get things that they want done. So if they were having any challenges or they needed recommendations, anything from a place to go to a place to eat to people to meet, and then all of that, like a connection maker. So like a concierge, but I kind of like my own little title on it. I want to be a paid connection maker.
Oh, matchmaker. That sounds great. So, if you were stranded on a desert island, what three items would you take with you?
Well, okay, as a woman of faith, like I know this is gonna be I'm gonna bring a Bible.
Mm.
So I'm gonna bring a Bible, and let's see, um, um, like what? I'm gonna throw another interesting item out there. I'm gonna bring an umbrella because an umbrella is good both in the sun and the shade. So get some, have that. So I'll bring a Bible and an umbrella, and what is that third item that I want? I want an unlimited supply of fresh water. Okay.
And that's this is the most random response I've ever got for this question, especially the second choice, the umbrella. Heather. That tells a
I know.
lot.
I'm just throwing out like random in there. I didn't give it much thought, but yeah, that's your random umbrella one.
So, if you were held at a gunpoint and told that if you didn't impress them with your dance moves, you would be killed, what sort of dance move would you bust out, Heather?
What sort of dance move? Well, I would, yeah. What type of dance move? I would do something like, a little maybe like hula type, a little like hula moves, and kind of, move those hands around and kind of create like a whole atmosphere and kind of get moving that way. So and entice them with a little dance that would impress them. So yeah, a little moves and again like a smile, I would dance with a smile. There you go.
Oh, I literally can see you dancing now, Heather. And hopefully that's a good one. So, if you're arrested with no explanations, what do you think your friends and family assume you would have done?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know how do other people answer that question. um let's just go with sometimes I'm a rebel in pursuing something that they might say that pursuing something that I was passionate about, that I really believed in. And so like that maybe I stood up for someone's beliefs, and maybe that's what I'd be arrested for. There you go.
who are the people who have been the most influential in your life and career?
Most influential. Well, I think I've already again like I think he knows but Mitch was a huge encourager for me in my career with APMP. Encouraged me both to apply for the board and also apply to actually receive the 2017 40 under 40 award. So I would say like again like Mitch a huge impact there. And then I think I also mentioned Anita Wright as another amazing woman in leadership here in California in APMP. Like very impactful over the years, and also helping me kind of craft how I move along in my career in women in business development. Very like essential there. I also had a really like inspirational, like a great like boss who hired me on at Pride. I really appreciate like what she did there. Her name is Melissa McKenzie. So again, that again responsible for my hiring there, and that was really inspirational there. And then another strong woman at Pride, Karen Daniels Mead, or now she's Karen Daniels Lagarissimo. I hope I said her name right. And again, she's always been a great mentor and encourager like over the years. So in my career, made like an impact. And then I've had some dear friends as well that always kind of sought out like on their adventures and doing that. But career-wise, I've really been able to be molded by some really powerful men and women, and I think I hope I've mentioned some of them there that really just made an impact. And so I'm extremely grateful to all of them.
Oh, beautiful. So, who's the kindest person you know?
Wow. That is a really good question. Oh, I should have an easy answer for that, but I am blessed with a lot of tremendous like men and women in my life. And I don't know. I'm not gonna. I just can't pick. Like I've got like so many kind and very thoughtful friends and colleagues that will just say I'll give a very politician answer and say all of them.
That's nice. So, what one personal trait you like the most about yourself?
I like the fact that I'm not afraid to go try something new. Yeah, that sometimes it's I may not know everything, but I like that fact that I'm willing to kind of risk and say, hey, I don't know everything, but I'd really like to go try that, and then I actually do it. So I actually go make it happen. So if I see something that intrigues me or someone that intrigues me, then I'm like, hey, how could I meet that person? How could I connect with that place? What could I like? And then how can I, once I learn that, how can I share it with others if I think it's really great? So that initiative to go discover new things. And a lot of times that's been by myself. I've been single for a lot of my life, and so having that ability to go find new things on my own is a trait that I really like about myself.
What have you observed lately that reminded you that people are kind?
I like the kind of the intentionality of seeing the families that I know, like kind of just being really involved with their kids and reaching out. I know that like throughout this pandemic, we've needed to be very careful about following procedures, and I had two families that I was really close to, like being single out here in California, that said, if you need to, like, take precautions, but if you need a place to know that you're not alone, that that our home and our family is welcome to you. And so that those were my friends, like Catherine and Todd, and my friend Sue and her husband Cliff. And so that was a huge kindness, like being out here in California, to have someone say that if you do need a place to go to or someone to talk to, that you can call us, that you can come to us, and that we'll pray with you as well. And so that was a huge kindness, as I think we're all trying to, keep our sanity about us and figure out like our roles and lives that we do. But just someone to reach out and say like that we're here for you if you need us, and please do that. Was a huge kindness, and something that I've seen this year, and I see other people doing that too. Other friends and colleagues and people across the country that will reach out, and if there's a need that someone could help with, that shows that kindness. And I mean, Bhaskar, even your kindness of what you do, and how that you're willing to invest in other people and celebrate your birthday every year. I think you have a birthday tomorrow, right?
Yes, correct.
And this the kindness of people acknowledging the goodness in people, that even with all of the strife that's out there now and the things that we're fighting against, that I think there is good in people, and I like the kindness of other people highlighting that.
Thank you, Heather. That's very beautiful. And you are the last person I'll be speaking when I'm in my 30s, before I turn tomorrow. So my younger self is with you, Heather. So enjoy this conversation, and I'll be slightly bit more matured, or slightly behave as a responsible adult from tomorrow.
Okay.
So let's do this. Let's get through this. So what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I wish I had joined APMP sooner. I really do. Like in my proposal in business development, I wish that I would have said, "Hey, like I need some resources," like and learn that right away. So as I said, it took I jumped into Pride like in the fall of 2006. And so I wish that like that first year I would have been like, "Hey, what is an association that would help me professionally?" And so like, yeah, that's something that I wish I had done right away and not waited.
That's brilliant. So what's the best piece of advice you have received, and from whom?
Well, I'm gonna go a little sentimental on this one. Like, so I was close to both of my grandmothers, um, and especially my dad's mom. And I remember like near the end of her life, she knew how passionate and caring I was, and how I did things for other people. And her advice was, um, keep doing that, Heather, but don't let people take advantage of you, and let other people know that you do love them. And so I think my grandmother, like always, we have a special connection with certain people, and I really appreciated that about my grandmother. Is I always knew that she loved me. And so I think it's very important to let others know in your life how meaningful they are to you, and that you like them, and then that you even love them, and you share your lives with them. So that would be the advice. Like, be careful, don't be taken advantage of, but be sure to let others know that you care and that you love them.
Oh, it's very beautiful, Heather. So Heather, successful life so far, happy and fulfilled career, and lots of abundance in your love, with lots of roses around you. What's next for you?
Well, I am open to the opportunities. Like I'm very like excited, like what, as I said, that we're doing, professionally, like out here. Um, Again, like I've always like worked for nonprofits, and I like connecting with people. So, we'll see where that leads. Again, I know that whatever I do, that I will do it like with passion and joy, and then again, like I'm really enthusiastic about the future. I know that certain days, and with everyone right now, we have days where we might get frustrated, we might get upset, we might be like, what am I doing? But I think when you work on yourself, and you inspire yourself, and take care of yourself physically and mentally and spiritually, that you can really like do great things. And so I think there's great things in store for me. I may not know all of that, but I'm gonna trust in my Lord, and trust in the relationships that I have, that things will open up as they should.
Amazing, Heather. Totally, I think you will be surrounded by all the love and support as you deserve, Heather. You've always been an amazing giver, and you have a big heart. I wish you all the good health and happiness, Heather. So, is there any part of your life or career, or is there anything else you would like to share, Heather, before we close the talk?
Oh, again, I think, I'm very grateful for the relationships that I've been able to build, with like my opportunities, like at Pride, like over the years, like through the different conferences I've attended, through the different bosses I've had. I think everyone has like taught me something. And I think that's what I would share, like kind of closing out, is everyone is in your life, that comes into your circle for a reason. And if we can, it's really great, like even on a discussion like this, to kind of pause and reflect. So if things get a little overwhelming, which they can easily do, just kind of stop and breathe and reflect, and choose to look for the better things in life. Again, we all go through pain and suffering and frustration, but choose to find that joy, choose to find to be with people that build you up and support you, and are there in like the good time and the hard times. So again, I'm just again really grateful for the people in my life, both personally and professionally. And it's been a real joy to talk with you about it, Bhaskar. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Heather. It's the same for me as well. So thank you so much for joining Scribble Talk today. It's been an absolute privilege to have you with us at Scribble Talk. Wish you all the good health and happiness. And please do continue to inspire bid and proposal colleagues and everybody around you, and touch as much roses as possible in your life. Keep swimming, keep being happy. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay kind. And thank you so much again, Heather, for joining Scribble.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchuscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode, where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays,
Bhaskar Sundram,
signing off.